Frank, thank you so much for hosting this hearing and for giving me this opportunity to come before the committee to highlight some of the major challenges facing my congressional district on Staten Island and in South Brooklyn. Despite being a part of New York City, you'd never think it based on how the folks in my district get around. 68% of Staten Islanders drive to and from work, as opposed to 22% in Manhattan. I've heard people blame Staten Island's car culture for the city's congestion problem, but that just ignores the root core of the issue, because far too many of my constituents, public transportation just is not a reliable and credible alternative. Until that changes, we need to stop punishing hardworking people who are just trying to get around. The reason we're stuck in this situation in my district is that my district has been forgotten when it comes to federal, state, and local attention to our transportation needs. When it comes time to invest in transportation projects, Staten Island and South Brooklyn have been second thoughts throughout the years. We have one railroad, one ferry, and an express bus system to Manhattan, all of which are not working nearly as well as the other systems throughout New York City. The MTA system, which serves South Brooklyn, is currently scheduled to receive signal upgrades in a decade. A decade. Try telling that to people. So I understand that many communities around New York City and the country need improvements to their daily commutes, but so do my constituents, and we cannot afford to wait another decade. As always, I did not just come here to complain. Here are some real proposals. I encourage the committee to sit down and craft, obviously, a long-term infrastructure bill, and I know that there's not a person in this room that is not in favor of that. I want it, the American people want it, I know all of you do as well. I also ask the committee to look at new ways to calculate commuter tax credits. While the current system is based on miles traveled, anyone who knows New York City knows that that's not enough. Most drivers commute far less than 15 miles, yet it often takes an hour to get there. On top of that, my district has the dubious honor of having the most expensive toll bridge in the country. We're getting squeezed on all sides, and it's only getting worse. If nothing else, calculating commuter tax credits according to the real cost of commuting would be an equitable step and provide a much-needed sense of relief. Lastly, I want to encourage the committee to build in competitive grant programs that support innovation in transportation. We've seen how ride-hailing technology has reshaped how Americans move around. And I believe that with federal support, we can develop equally revolutionary methods of reducing the number of cars on the road while getting people where they need to go quickly and reliably. For instance, investment that improves access to mass transit can significantly increase ridership on Staten Island and South Brooklyn. We'd love to use mass transit more, but it just needs to be a viable option for all of us. We have transit deserts, where it's a 5-mile ride or a 2-mile ride to the closest express bus, and people have to drive to get there, and it causes incredible congestion. In my conversations with members of this committee, I've been encouraged by your desire to effect real change in the way that Americans move around. We've all come here to make the American people's lives better, and I've shared with many of you the sentiment there's no better way to do that than to ensure that people get to and from work quickly and reliably. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak before you, and I look forward to working with all of you going forward.
I thank the gentleman. So we can move things along. Does anyone have a question for the gentleman? If not, congratulate you on your testimony. You said much that I think you'll find support for on this committee. Would love to work with you on your particular concerns about getting access to the mass transit.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. With that,